Joyce Pellino Crane, editor of the Westford Eagle, here today with, to my left, Linsey O'Donnell, reporter for the Westford Eagle, and to my right, Jim Jarvie, a candidate for selectman for the May 6th election. Today is April 23rd, and we are conducting the second in a three-part series of interviews with the three candidates for selectman. Jim is vying for one of two seats, along with Don Sirianni and Kelly Ross, the incumbent. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you. And we want to start right in asking you a few questions. First, I'd like to know if you could answer what you believe are the overarching issues for the town currently.
So for me, I think one of the main overarching issues for the town is always the budget. And the budget is always top of mind for many people. And my background as a professional buyer, I want to make sure that that the town is running as efficiently and effectively as possible. So the budget would be the number one for me. Another issue that's pretty popular in the paper recently is the recent train derailment. I live in close proximity to the railroad tracks near Depot Street. And I know more now than I ever have before about freight trains. And so with the derailment, that prompted me to go out and research a little bit more about that derailment. And I was shocked to find that there's toxic chemicals that travel through our community. And it was also shocking to find out that the local government doesn't have a lot of oversight or even any information. It's really at the federal level. So that was concerning for me. And then one of the other issues I think that's currently a major issue right now is transparency in local government. I think that with the recent negotiations around the settlement and ultimately the town releasing that report.
Settlement of what?
Chief Roshan's settlement agreement.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about retiring fire chief.
Yep.
Richard Roshan, who actually retired last year in June.
Correct. And then through the efforts of a local paper, there was a ruling by Secretary, I believe it's Secretary Galvin's office, to release a document that the state felt that should be viewed by the public. And so, transparency, I think, right now is one of the major issues that we need to correct.
So what weaknesses would you say that the current board has, and how would you go about improving some of these weaknesses?
So for my background, again, being a professional buyer, I don't think there are professional buyers on the board. And in being a buyer with my mindset, I take an analytical approach to certain things. And with a $108 million budget, I think that if the board is lacking anything, they're lacking somebody with the experiences and the knowledges of a buyer. At my company, my team and I manage over $200 million in spend for our company. So I think my background and experiences would lend themselves well to the board.
So I'm not clear. What you think the weaknesses on the board are, that they're not quite as experienced in the fiscal arena?
Not so much the fiscal arena, but more so in the buying. I'll give you a recent example. I attended a Board of Selectmen meeting, and one of the proposals was to extend the solid waste trash contract by an additional 3 years. I believe we've had that contract in place for 5 years. And I believe the current provider reduced some of his rates a little bit as an incentive to continue with the contract. I had 3 selectmen sitting there with me, and nobody said anything. Me being a buyer and a professional buyer, I raised my hand, and the finance committee called on me, and I just pointed out that usually you would go out to bid on something like that, and that 5 years is quite a long time for one particular company to have that service. And so what was explained to me was that, although the company is reducing its rates and the town is saving money, that was enough of an incentive for the town to engage in an additional 3 years. A lot can change in 5 years. What was once proposed in 5 years ago is different, can be totally different today. Another example, Bill Rooker just...
So what was the outcome of that?
It went to town meeting, and I don't know. I have to follow up with Jody and the town officials to see where they stand on that. I don't know if that agreement has already been extended, but in Billerica recently, Waste Management recently built a state-of-the-art recycling facility in Billerica, and recently sent 2 unsolicited proposals or bids to the town of Chelmsford. Chelmsford just awarded their recycling contract to Waste Management because Waste Management provided the best pricing. And then when Chelmsford's solid waste contract comes up in 2015, they're going to combine both services, and they're going to be able to leverage some economies of scale. So that's kind of what I brought to the table, in that, identifying that 5 years is too long and that markets can change over time. And that was one example where I think that, maybe it does not make sense to extend the contract. Maybe it would be more beneficial for the town from a fiscal perspective to maybe go out to bid and test the market now that Waste Management is out there, and they seem pretty hungry for business.
So going off that, what are the fiscal challenges that the town faces today, and how would you kind of improve those challenges?
So there's a few fiscal challenges that are heading our way. One is the townwide facilities study that's happening right now. We have an aging infrastructure, and one component to that are the buildings. They are older, they do need repair, so there will be some costs associated with that, and I would assume that that will be a large chunk of the cost. The other piece is our infrastructure, roads, bridges. Actually, recently in the paper, I just read that the state awarded $750,000 for the Beaverbrook Road Bridge. So that's quite positive. That helps out. The other thing is the healthcare costs. I think that the town has done a good job of sort of trying to mitigate that. And recently, I'll point to the OPEB, the Other Post-Employee Benefits Trust Fund that was created. And by doing so, led to a reduction in healthcare premiums. I believe they went from 12 to 8%. And as an example of what we could do there, I think that's an important step, and I think we need to get town meeting used to the fact that those types of liabilities are out there, and we need to get them used to funding those. A recent, actually, the town of Arlington took their reduction in their savings that they recently had from reducing their healthcare premiums, and now they're dedicating that savings to the OPEB trust fund as a way to fund those liabilities.
You keep mentioning your professional experience, so can you tell the voters what you do for a living and who you work for?
Yep, so I work for a company called Constant Contact. They are the premier email marketing company for small businesses, nonprofits, and I manage a team of 3 people, and together we manage the spend of over $200 million annually. I'm the head of procurement. And my background, as I said earlier, is in purchasing. So 20 years, I'm a professional buyer. I've worked my way up through the ranks, and now I hold a managerial position and a team of folks. And we negotiate complex contracts, we negotiate savings, we find efficiencies. We do a lot, and we do a lot to help the company grow and spend their money more effectively.
So you mentioned transparency as an issue earlier. Could you go deeper into why you think that's an issue for the town, and how you, if you were to be a selectman, might make that, kind of solve that issue? Sure.
Well, first let me say the town has done a great job with the town website. Recently won an award, I think within the last year or two, as far as the technology that we use to publish information. The Westford Cat, online meetings, publishing meetings. Online, there's many documents, and I actually appreciate it, because if I can't make a board of selectmen meeting, as I often have in the past, I'll try to attend in person. I'll refer to the website where all of the meeting packets are online, days in advance. So I think the town has done a great job in that regard of getting information in the hands of residents. And so great job on the website. However, this recent example here, where the former chief Roshan's severance package was negotiated in the shadows, I think, and I think there's two issues here. One is employee information, and I'm not, a proponent of sharing any of that. I think it's against the law. So I think that we should protect our employees' information and not share that. But on the other side to that, I think that there's an opportunity to be a little bit more open with the public. As I said before, or in another speech that I gave, I think the town really missed an opportunity to release that document to the public, knowing that they could have fully redacted all of the sensitive employee information, but they could have been a little bit more upfront with publishing that. Unfortunately, it took a local paper many weeks to file that complaint, and ultimately it was ruled by the state that the town had to release that. So they did comply with that. So I think what that does is that undermines the trust of the community and the voters. And if I'm lucky enough to be voted in this May 6th, I'll work to open up, have more of an open government, and I'll be that voice on the board so that when we have these discussions that we're always referring. This is a great example to refer back to. You don't want to make the same mistake twice. So I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned here. So moving forward, I'll be that voice to be more open and transparent within the limits of the law, of course.
You ran last year for selectman, and you did not win.
Right.
If I recall correctly, a large part of your platform had to do with the firearms debate that was raging in town last year. And it just as background for viewers, the town, a former selectman, Robert Jeffries, had called for some firearms device control. We have a sportsman's club in town. The members of that club were opposed to it. There was quite a debate that raged, and ultimately a request for a control for the devices that would have appeared on the town meeting warrant in March of 2013 was withdrawn, and the debate settled down. But that was a large part of your platform last year. You were opposed to the control for gun devices, firearm devices.
Sure.
If I'm correct. How would you characterize this year's platform, where that issue is less of an issue now than it was a year ago?
Yeah, I think there was a component of that Article 30, but I think that for me, my platform, it was more of a more fiscally responsible platform, and I think that as the campaign went on, Article 30 and the whole discussion around limiting certain firearms within town sort of took on. That was center stage with a lot of things, but I was still during that campaign, promoting good fiscal responsibility, and at that time, obviously, there was talks of greater deficits in the future, and so fiscal responsibility has always been part of my platform, and I've always been an opponent of restricting the rights of lawful gun owners. We have many laws on the books today, and lawful gun owners aren't the ones that you see on TV. It's the criminals. So I think there can be more that to be done to limit the criminals and having firearms in their hands. But I don't see it as a problem for lawful gun owners. I also think that we do have two clubs in town: the Stony Brook Fish and Game Club, and we have the Westford Sportsman's Club. And we have those are valuable resources. And I think that anybody that's looking to learn more about firearms safety, hunting. Those are two great groups of very knowledgeable people to reach out to if anybody wants to learn more. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank Marilyn Frank, who pushed the Eddie Eagle program sponsored by the NRA to the elementary schools. I think that education is important, and I'm one of 1,900 licensed gun owners in the town.
We're not aware of this program, so tell us what this Ed Eagle?
Eddie Eagle, yeah. Eddie Eagle is I believe is an NRA-sponsored program, and what they do is they teach kids if they enter a room and they happen to find a firearm, they are to stop immediately, leave the room, well, actually stop, don't touch, leave the room, and tell an adult. That's simple. And I think that, that's a great way to educate kids because, like I said, I'm one of 1,900 licensed gun owners in Westford. And my son goes on many play dates. And, when you drop your kid off at somebody's house, one of the things that you discuss is, all right, I'll be dropping him off. I'm going to come back and pick him up at this time. But not a lot of folks ask, hey, do you have firearms in the home? So I think that at the elementary level, I think this is a great opportunity to educate kids so that if they are over on a play date or somebody's house and they do come upon a firearm, that they are to stop, don't touch, leave the room, and tell an adult. I think that's just that's a very responsible way of handling it.
So going off that, can you tell us your view of the Hunting Policy Committee? And just as background, the committee was formed after a resident asked for permission to go bow hunting in Tadmix Swamp.
Mm-hmm.
And it, a few neighbors in that area expressed concerns about having a hunter. So it's in that area. So it's still a pretty big issue in town.
Sure. I think that hunting is a very important component in managing wildlife. There are many deer in town as it is, and I would hope that, I think the hunting committee and forming that committee is a good thing. I would hope that their recommendation, hopefully around the September timeframe, isn't to further restrict the laws that are already on the table and on the books that have been working fine for many, many years. I hope they don't further restrict those laws. What I'd like to see the hunting committee do is maybe identify the parcels of land in town that are open to hunting or would be conducive to hunting. And depending on the size of those parcels, maybe make a recommendation of how many hunters could be, or how many permits that would be potentially issued for that particular parcel of land. Safety is always a very important component, and I know that the residents around the Tadmux Swamp area, they were very vocal at a few of the Board of Selectmen meetings around safety. But bow hunting, we're not talking about rifle or shotgun, we're talking about bow hunting. Bow hunting is a very safe form of hunting. Most of the bow hunters are up probably 20, 30 feet in a tree, and the trajectory is downward. And the radius around the tree could be anywhere between 20 and 30 yards. So it's a very small area. And I think that if you you do research, you'll find that bow hunting, there's a very, very low incident, low percentage of incidents. But I'm for hunting. I hunted as a child with my father and my grandfather and my uncle. I think hunting gives you some valuable life lessons, and it's a truly bonding experience with whoever it is that you are out there. But I definitely think it's a very important component to controlling the deer population. Without that control, we have higher populations of deer, which mean more motor vehicle accidents, which means more ticks, more susceptible to Lyme disease. In addition to lack of food for the deers. If the population grows, now they start to come into the housing developments and start to eat bushes and shrubs and become a nuisance. So I am 100% in favor of hunting. But again, taking into consideration some of the safety concerns. But I think that comes more through education. And I think some of the residents are on the committee right now. And so hopefully they are becoming more educated about hunting, and we'll see. I mean, hopefully they'll have a different appreciation for it after the process.
Let's talk about your qualifications as selectman and your background. What qualifies you to become a selectman in Westford?
Yep. One, I think I'm passionate, and I think that if you serve on any board or committee in town, you have to have a passion to serve. And I truly believe that in order to serve your community, you also need to be committed. And I am both of those things. I am passionate and committed. With regard to my background, as I said before, I'm a professional buyer. There's $108 million spend here in town. I know how to save money. I know how to ask the tough questions. I know I always take a data-driven, fact-based approach to information. I try not to take a knee-jerk reaction to things or vote go along with the popular vote. I'm fine with questioning the status quo. Like I said, this is what I do for my company today. This is what I'd like to do for Westford.
What committees have you served on, or what boards, what other boards have you served on? What is your background in terms of local government?
So currently I sit on I'm a member of the Westford Energy Committee. I currently hold the position of secretary. I was voted in unanimously this year. That's the only committee that I currently sit on. I also, in addition to that, am very involved in youth sports. My son plays baseball and he plays soccer, and so I'm very involved in youth sports there. And I'm also involved in community fundraisers. There's a couple of community fundraisers that I've been involved in, helped out, and try to dedicate and volunteer my time for those initiatives.
Wouldn't it make more sense to take a little more time and serve on other boards in town before going right to the top to selectmen?
Sure, I suppose some people, that's the path that they take. For me, that's not the path that I've chosen. When I first moved here, I started with the Energy Committee. That was an interest for me. And then there was an opportunity to run for the Board of Selectmen, and I've always wanted to be a selectman. I always felt that I could lend my talents and my experiences and my knowledge there. And last year, I point to last year's election. I lost the election by almost, I think it was just about 150 votes. So the people, obviously feel a little bit differently. And so this year we're going to build on that success and hopefully have a better turnout.
Can you expand a little more on your time on the Energy Committee? What things have you done for the town?
Yep. So I'll mention two things actually. One is the net metering agreement. The Energy Committee worked closely with town officials. And we signed a multi-year net metering agreement, which means that the town will be able to take advantage of energy credits on our bill from energy that's produced at 3 major solar farms. In the first year, it was a partial savings of about $100,000. Additional years look like about $400,000. The other major initiative, we just recently became a green community. And the Energy Committee was part of that. We made that recommendation. There were a couple of things that we needed to requirements that we needed to meet, and we did. And now we have access to, I believe, $156,000 in grant money now to put toward energy efficient projects moving forward.
Being a selectman requires more than attending Tuesday night meetings every other week.
Sure.
It requires some daytime commitments, other evenings. How is your schedule in terms of flexibility? Would your schedule allow you to be more involved in the town? There are union contracts that get negotiated and a myriad of other responsibilities for a selectman.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us how you would handle some of the responsibility?
Sure. Well, I obviously have a full-time job, but I think with regard to my flexibility, there is some flexibility there, and I would look forward to participating or being a liaison to other committees and taking part in that. And again, if I'm lucky enough to be elected, I'd like to sit down with the other members of the board and have that discussion and see, where the requirements are and where the needs are, and then go from there.
Tell us about your military experience.
Yeah, so my military experience. I am the 4th person in my family to serve in the military, all Navy guys before me, so I bucked the trend with the Army. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It was one of the biggest challenges that I ever faced. And I grew up quick. It was it was a great experience, but I matured very quickly, and I learned a lot about the world. I traveled the world. I got to experience other cultures, and I think it was just a great experience for me, and one that really set me off on my path. It really taught me a lot about teams. There's no power in one, but there is power in a team, and I never lost. I never lost that, and I use those same things today, or I look back and leverage those same skills and things that I learned in the military today when I build my team.
When did you go in and when did you come out?
I did a short tour. It was 3 years. It was 92 to 95.
And you came out at what rank?
E4, I was a specialist. Yep.
E4 meaning for those of us who are...
Enlisted, yep.
All right.
Yep.
Are there any other, is there something you would want voters to know about yourself that they probably wouldn't know?
Sure. You know, I'm a regular guy. I'm a taxpayer, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, you know, I'm a family guy, and I'm just a regular guy. I don't have any political aspirations. I don't plan to be a career selectman, but I just see an opportunity to participate and lend my skills and abilities to the town. A town that's really given us a lot already. You know, that we have a great school system here. I hope to continue that trend. My son is in second grade, so he has a long way to go through the school system. The people are great, our town services, town employees. I mean, it's just a really great place to live. And this is one small way that I feel that I can give back. And hopefully, at the end of all this, you know, I can help leave Westford in a better place than when I found it.
So, we only have a few more minutes left. Can you tell us what differentiates you from the other candidates?
Sure. I have a business background. I've been in procurement for 20 years. I'm a professional buyer. I know how to save money. I know how to find efficiencies. I'm a team player. Like I said, one of my passions is building highly effective teams. You know, I'm a regular guy. I feel like I'm approachable. You know, through this whole campaign process, which started last year, I've had many conversations along people's fences, many conversations in driveways, and many conversations around the table. So I feel like, you know, what separates me, I'm approachable, and I feel like people can talk with me, and I can talk with them, and we can talk about the issues. And I would hope that if I'm elected on May 6th, that we continue that. I want to continue to have those fence conversations and sit around the kitchen table and be that voice, because I think that, you know, along this process, I've met a lot of people that are disenfranchised. They're not part of the process anymore. They're frustrated. They don't want to be involved. And I want to think about them on each and every vote and what we do for the town and how we approach things and how we spend their money. I want to always refer and not ever lose those conversations that I've had over this last campaign. So whether I win or lose this time, I'm a far better person today for this process, and I just thank everybody for the opportunity.
Well, in just a few seconds, can you tell us what you do for fun?
What I do for fun, yeah. Well, it's filled with my son's sporting events, so I really enjoy watching him play baseball. Baseball was a passion of mine, and I had a lot of fun there. I coach, so I have a lot of fun coaching his team. But as far as fun, I just, you know, I hang out. I'm a family guy. I do what family guys do. I go to my son's sporting events. My wife and I try to get date night when we can. You know, so.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Joyce Pellino Crane for the Westford Eagle saying have a wonderful day, and don't forget to vote on May 6th.